We saw a big sell-off. The FTSE MIB was up 2%. It's now down 2/3 of 1%. This is all on the machinations and the letters that are going back and forth between Europe and Italy's leaders. What's the current state of play, Alessandra?
So there was a little bit of relief, oddly, after Moody's Investor Service downgraded Italy, because investors said, okay, well, that's out of the way and the outlook is stable and Italy's not junk, which is not exactly something to celebrate, but I guess it's something to be comforted, they're not junk. But then, as you were saying, there's all this back and forth with the EU. So Italy sent a letter. The tone was softer, saying, they want dialogue with the EU, they're willing to do a little bit. But essentially, the basics are that they're still going to spend all the money that they said they would. The deficit's still going to be 2.4%. So they're not really doing any of the things the EU was hoping, which means that tomorrow when the EU meets, they'll likely have to decide to tell Italy to resubmit its budget. Changing it, obviously, that would be implied. Italy obviously isn't, they don't have to do that. They probably should. It's an unprecedented step. It's never happened before, so we're not sure how that will go. But Italy could decide to resubmit the budget exactly as is. So tomorrow is a very big day for Italy, as we see what the EU responds to this letter from today.
So the finance minister, Tria, says that, he won't let it run past 2.4% next year. Is that supposed to somehow console Europe's lawmakers?
Yes, he's, the tone is kinder and gentler, but I mean, essentially he's saying they're just going to spend everything they said they would, and then in the future they'll behave. But Italy has this huge debt. A few people have asked us, but this is well below the 3% limit that the EU has set, of course. But with a debt that's, above 130%, Italy just can't afford this kind of deficit, and that's the point the EU is making. But the Italian authorities can't listen, also because they're populists and they need to keep their voters happy. So it's really, there's no choice, you could say, politically.
Now, Italian banks are suffering. They're suffering in today's trading. How long can they withstand this kind of uncertainty, this, sort of vote of confidence for now from Moody's, but that won't last if this uncertainty continues with Europe?
Certainly. So for now, yes, the outlook is stable. That's comforting. But the banks are a very big issue. And we also think we've heard from a lot of sources and even from analysts that if the banks really start to suffer, and, the banks will suffer if the spread between Italian and German bonds goes very, very high. Estimates say if it goes to 400, that's when the pain will really be felt. Now, at that point, the government might have to listen, might have to do something about it. Consider that the League, one of the two populist parties in government, has a very solid business base. And Italian businesses obviously get their loans from banks, so they really care about the financial system and they care about, Italy's business community and how it works. So we'll have to see how that goes. But banks are a very, very big issue in Italy, and of course how, the markets and the bonds affect the banks.